Ted, I want to talk about, and I know you want to talk about the land surveys and what people need to know, especially in Rhode Island, when they're buying or selling real estate in regards to land surveys, right?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because it's come up a couple times in the last 10 days. And people are not sure, how it fits in. They've heard of it in other states being done like mandatorily. And they wonder is it something that we need to do when we buy a house here in Rhode Island? And I tell them typically no, it's not necessary. I think it's a good idea to do it, but it's typically not done here. And the reason why it's not done here is because the lender gets automatic coverage on the title policy for survey matters. And so
survey deletion, right?
Yep, that's right. So there's no concern, in that respect. Usually it's the lender that's driving the bus, and if they don't get the coverage, then they say, well, we need to make sure that the coast is clear. And, so a survey will determine the boundaries of the property, if there's any encroachments.
What is an encroachment? Tell us.
So an encroachment would be, somebody, the most common one is where somebody puts up a fence and just kind of eyeballs it.
So say if I was to buy a piece of property and we hired your office to do the title, at what point do you find out if there's an encroachment or a survey?
Matt, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the answer is that it's not something that is readily noticeable. So the only way we would see it, our office would see it, is if there is a recorded instrument. So the neighbor might say, hey, I've let seller know that there's an issue with the boundary line, and they haven't done anything about it. I'm recording something to dispute the boundary line. So
and then that way it forces you to have to review that before it transpires to a new
then we
owner.
have to figure out, okay, who's telling the truth.
Okay.
And the way to do it is to do a survey.
Surveys are not done in Rhode Island because we are no survey state, okay, for one. And for two, some other quick fact, real estate agents are not allowed to point out property lines unless they are clearly marked, because then they're liable.
They're liable,
so
sure.
we don't point out property lines. We think somewhere around the tree over here. We don't know, right? So, but hold on one second. So surveys are not done here in Rhode Island, okay, because our property lines are so messed up. Our property lines are insane. We've got this old colonial state here where people were like, oh, well, your stone wall over there is your property line, and this tree over
37
here.
acres.
They're a mess.
Yeah.
They're a mess. They're like triangles. They're like, all different types of shapes. Like,
you're right. I mean,
roads going through places.
All the more reason,
shared driveways.
All the more reason why you really we should be doing them. We should be, but the industry just doesn't do them here, and the price tag shows it. So if you were to do them more often, like on every loan, you'd see the price of a survey come down. But because they don't do it very commonly, it's usually just done when somebody says, "Hey, I'm interested in putting up a fence," or the neighbor is saying that I cut a tree down off on their land. So then you verify where the boundary line is.